Excel accounting practice problem. Receive payment and make deposit. Get ready, because we're going to excel. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we put together this worksheet from a blank sheet, now continuing to enter transactions into it. If you have access to it, there'll be two tabs down below, an example tab and a practice tab. Practice tab starting at the point which we left off last time. Example tab, in essence, being an answer key. Let's take a look at it now. We're going to be entering transactions related to us receiving funds from customers. That's going to be a decrease to the accounts receivable as we receive the funds, but rather than putting them directly into the checking account, which is often what people will learn in an accounting course, calling the checking account just simply cash, we're going to be first putting them into the undeposited funds, working with that transition account or temporary account, so that we can then deposit it into the checking account and the same grouping or format that we expect to be seeing them on the bank statement, so that we could be tying out our bank statement and our books in the process known as the bank reconciliation. So let's go back to the practice tab. We're going to do some cleaning up before we get started, hiding some cells. We're going to be putting our cursor on this skinny column all the way to the left. Going to hide those columns, hiding these columns. And then we're going to copy the ending balances and make them our beginning balances. Copy, and we will paste specially, right-clicking and pasting 1, 2, 3. Then deleting the activity in the middle, so that we then can be focusing in on the transactions we're working on, the GL as well, having the transactions that were there before, so we have the entire activity in the GL. So we're going to be imagining we're going to be receiving funds from accounts receivable. Let's take a look first at the subledger on who owes us the money. The ledger breaking out the accounts receivable by customer. So we've got here then Anderson Guitars. Anderson Guitars owes us this $3,623. We're going to imagine we're going to get paid that amount now. So we're going to go all the way back to the left, here. And we're going to say then on 125, it's going to happen on 125. We're going to say that undeposited funds are going to go up instead of just the checking account. The other side is going to be accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is going to go down. We're just going to transfer it into a cash type of account, but the undeposited funds, remembering that undeposited funds here we put right underneath the checking account, whereas when we looked at that example tab, which might be changed on your end when you review this, was down below because of some logistical issues in accounting software where you might see it down below due to the account types and the functionality of them. I won't get into that in detail because we've talked about that in the past, but just keep aware that that's that undeposited funds, that clearing account. I'm going to say this is going to be, let's just type in the amount here, which is the 3623, and then negative of that amount. There's our transaction, going to indent and record this out. So undeposited funds, let's record that to our trial balance in cell AB5 equals, we'll point to that 3623, bringing the balance up to 3623. Accounts receivable right below it then is going to be here on AB6 equals, picking up that 3623, bringing the balance from 46,830 down by the 3623 to the 43,207. Let's now post it to the GL, undeposited funds, second account on the trial balance, therefore will be same as well on the GL. We're going to be in AI12 125, and so AJ12 equals left to the wall, picking up that accounts receivable. So there we have it. We're picking up here the undeposited funds. Let's do that again. That's the debit. So it was at 0. Now it's going up by the 3623 to 3623. That ties out to the trial balance. That ties out or puts us out of balance on the general ledger up top until we record this second half to accounts receivable. Third account on the trial balance, also third account on the GL as well. So we're down here in AM12 125, in AN12 equals, not negative, equals, left to the wall, picking up that 3623. So we went from the 46,830 down by the 3623 to the 43,207. That 43,207 also matching what's on the trusty trial balance, and we're back in balance on the GL given by the green 0. We also need to support that accounts receivable amount here that's been recorded there on the trial balance in the subledge that's breaking out by customer. Remember that one? You remember the subledge? Breaking that out by the customer. It's way over here. We're talking about Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson has paid us $125 on BT7. So I'm going to record the same payment here. Equals left to the wall. Going all the way to the wall. And then we're picking up that 3623. So that brings us down to 1. Notice there's a rounding error. So there's a rounding difference because we removed the pennies here. So I'm not going to worry about that here. I'm going to keep on pushing forward. You notice that we gave some space between the check figure. So if it was off by some pennies, we're okay here. And I think it'll be a little bit more simplified to kind of remove the pennies. It'll look a little bit cleaner. So there could be some rounding differences that could accumulate over time due to that. So in any case, that then is going to match. We're at the 43,207 for all of our customers now, tying out to the trial balance given by the 0, but let's double check it as well to the trial balance. So the 43,207. Let's do it again. That was fun. Let's do it again. Let's check the subledger. Someone else is going to pay us now. We're going to go over to the subledger and we're going to imagine that we're going to get paid by someone else, which is going to be this Eric Music, which is a big payment. $30,450. We're going to put that right into the checking account. So we're going to go all the way to the left and say, wow, this is an exciting moment, people. This is a big payment for us in our new business that we got the funds for. This equals the undeposited funds. It's going up by the 30,450, credit 30,452, and the other side is going to be out of accounts receivable. We're going to indent that AR, alignment and indent, posting it out, undeposited funds. Let's do it just with the keyboard this time. We're in AB5, F2 on the keyboard, plus F2, and then we're scrolling back down. 30,005, bringing the balance up to the 34,073. Accounts receivable then underneath. We are in AB6, F2 plus F2, scrolling down to the 30,450, bringing us to the 12,757. Let's do the same thing, posting this time to the GL. We might as well. So we're going to go over here. Not might as well. We should do it. So then we got to go to the undeposited funds, which we don't have any space in undeposited funds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down. So I'm going to copy it down from here. I'm going to select these 3. I'm going to copy that down. Let's take it all the way down to where the other cache is. I'm going to delete the activity after this point. So after where we left off, deleting that activity. And then I got to change this ending point in my check number up top, because if I look at this check number, it's now picking up that number and I need it to be down there. So it's currently picking up AK12. And I need it to be picking up AK24. So I'm going to find AK12 in my thing here. So looking for AK12, looking for AK12, which is way over here. That needs to be AK24. And that should pick up the same number down here. So now it's down here. So if I double click on it, I think it's picking up the proper amount. If I use my cool little things right here. There it is. It's picking up that one. You can find those cool little things by going to the data and then, no, it's in formulas. And then they're right here. They're right there. Back to the home up top. I'm going to remove those funny little things, those super cool little things. And then we're going to say this happened on 125 to the undeposited funds equals left to the wall, picking up the 30,450. Taking the balance from 3,623 up by the 30,450 to 34,73. That amount matching what's on the trial balance. And then the accounts receivable, it's the third account. So we're looking at the AR, third account on the GL as well. And we don't have any room in accounts receivable. So we're going to do the same thing for accounts receivable. We're going to add some room for it. So to do that, I'm going to drag these accounts down I'm going to bring these accounts down to about, let's bring them to about here, so that I'm trying to kind of line them up to the bottom of the trial balance. And then I'm going to insert. So I'm going to insert, and so shift cells down to right there. So that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to drag these items in accounts receivable down to right here. Delete the activity from above it, like so. Then I got to check this last number in my check figure. It's going to be up top. If I use my fancy tools again, they're picking up that number in A012. I need to change that. A012 right there. It needs to be changed to AO. Let's just delete it and point to it. I'm just going to delete that one and point to this one down here, which is AO something else. And so let's check it out. It's going to be AO20. So there we have it. So that's the one we want. Let's see if it picks it up properly. If I turn off the fancy stuff there, and we're going to say this happened on 125. We're in AN13 equals. Scrolling over, we got the 30,450. There we have it, bringing it from the 3623 up by the 30,450 to the 3473. That pulls all the way down, and that should then match what's on the trusty TB as well. Whew, that was more difficult than that little journal entry should have been. So then we got the accounts receivable also needs to go to the subledge to support the AR here. So we're going to go all the way to the right to the subledge. That's breaking out the AR by customer. And who's the one that owes us that 30,000? Eric Music. Keep them in our Rolodex. No one has Rolodex anymore. Keep them in our contact list. We need to do business with these people. They buy a lot of guitars. So in BX18, we're going to say equals all the way to the left. And then we're going to pick up our 30,450. Let's expand some of these cells. I'm going to expand. Let's expand like, I'm going to use my control, holding these, holding control to get the non-adjacent cells and expand these so they can pick up a number of that magnitude and possibly even a larger magnitude of size of width magnitude. So then if I add up all my cells here on the customers, they add up to 12,755, which should tie out to the trial balance indicated by the green 0. But let's double check it by going all the way to the left. Taking a look at the accounts receivable, there's that 12,757. Looks like things have been done the way things should be done, otherwise known as my way, which some people often say is also called the right way. Any case, now let's say we're going to put that into the checking account. We're going to group those two deposits together this time, taking them out of undeposited funds, putting them into the checking account. You might be saying, well, why didn't I just do that first when I did these two transactions? Because we want to group them together in one lump sum transaction, which we hope will match what is going to happen on the bank side of things. You can imagine us putting these two deposits together, putting them into the bank, or possibly being from some other payment format like a credit card, which is going to group them together, deposit them into the bank as one lump sum. So we will do the same. So this is going to be equal, we could say, the sum of these two transactions that we're going to group together and deposit in software, possibly using software like QuickBooks, a deposit form, which would allow us to group these two together, tying them out, matching them to the receipt of the payments after the invoice, as well as if we had any sales receipts that we would have received at the same point in time, and allow us to group those together. And now we're simply going to put this information into the checking account up top, posting to the checking account going up by the 3473, up from 8927, 3473 to 123,100. Undeposited funds then is going to be in cell AB5, F2 plus F2, scrolling down to the 3473, and undeposited funds goes back down to 0 because it is a clearing account. Notice there's no impact on the net income, even though we both received and deposited the cash, because we recorded the income when we made the sale. If it was with an invoice, then that's usually the point at which it would be recorded. Let's record this out to the GL as well, checking account first account over here on the GL. This happened on 125, and this is in AF15 equals that 3475, bringing the balance from 8927 by 3473 to 123,100, matching the trustee trial balance. We're out of balance on the GL by the 3473 until we record the other side, which is undeposited funds, second account on the trial balance, second account on the GL, of course, as well. 125, we're now in AJ14 equals, left onto that wall, and then we're at the 3473, enter. We had that outstanding amount. We have now deposited that, bringing the clearing account back down to 0, which is what clearing accounts do. They go up, and then they go back down to 0, like really fast. Faster than a temporary account, and not at the same intervals of monthly or yearly. So we should be back in balance up top. Checking out our accounts here, so they're all picking up the same or the correct balances. So that looks good. Notice that these amounts went into the checking account in 2 transactions, or in 1 transaction here. We could have put them in place with the 2 transactions, just putting these directly into the checking account. But if we did that, then what we're trying to do is say that this 3473 is the amount that's going to be deposited in the checking account. In other words, either method would have gotten us to the same ending balance, but the ending balance is not the only thing we need to be concerned with here. We need to be concerned with the detail in terms of what's being recorded in the GL, because we want to match our books, the GL in essence, to what's on the bank statement. And if the bank statement's going to record it as one lump sum deposit of the 3473, then we want to have it as one lump sum deposit, as opposed to having what we had over here, these two deposits going into our checking account. So that's the reason for the undeposited funds. Again, very, very confusing to many people that have never worked from an accounting standpoint in theory with a checking account, and instead have worked mainly with an account that's just called cash, right? And not having to deal with that added level of complexity, and then moving to accounting software where there is that added level of complexity that we have to consider.